All right, everybody. Adam and John back with another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles podcast. We're like right in the middle of I think where it's getting to be the good part of hunting.
It
Um,
is.
yeah, John's still sketching up his house and doing all this stuff, but here in Michigan, like lots of deer are getting killed, seeing bucks cruising. I hunted this morning. I saw a dozen deer, nice 8 point, and a little spike. And spike was, I mean, nose down right where these does were. And I got busted by an unknown deer that I guarantee was just a big old buck staring at me when I went into a spot my buddy told me about blind, and deer were everywhere. And I was like, shit, I should have been looking over there, like everything. But we're talking to a guy, and so Brad Collings, he does BDS outdoors. He's going to do some video type stuff for us here coming up. He's one of the Patreons, and I don't know. I think Brad, like usually happens, is guys will ask questions about saddles or whatever, and when you put a question out to like Facebook, you get everybody being like, "This is the greatest saddle because it's the one that I own and I tried it." And so I was just message people and I say, hey, like, tell me what's your budget, what's your hunting style, like, what is your motivation? And then we just got to talking and back and forth and back and forth. And I think, that's kind of when I like found Brad, and we just been going back and forth. And he's super active in our Marco Polo group. And I think he introduces himself as like, I'm either going to be the guy that's bitching about something, busting somebody's balls, or a hype man on something. I mean, I think that's exactly what you said like earlier this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Brad, like give us your like hunting background and like your I guess some of your background. And it's great because this is going to be the week of Veterans Day. Brad is also a veteran, and so we felt bad for him, so we brought him on for this. So
Yeah. So I am from Western New York. We grew up hunting nothing but state land. That's all we had. My grandfather was like the first hunter of his family. Nobody hunted before him. He taught himself. He taught my dad. Both of them taught me and my brother. So that's what we did. We did public land hunted up until I joined the Army at 18, right out of high school. I took a couple years off while I was like running around doing that kind of Army stuff. And then in 2012, I landed here at Fort Campbell. And they have, I don't know if anybody knows, but Fort Campbell's got like giant deer on it. I've never seen one personally or like in the woods. I've seen them like on the side of the road. I've never seen them like in the woods, but Fort Campbell's known for like stud bucks. They had a buck killed a couple of years ago that was on like the cover of Rack magazine. It was like 250 something. Like it was a big deal. It got run over by a car, whatever. But yeah, that's so I started hunting Fort Campbell. We moved to Tennessee. I got married, stuff, moved to Tennessee, and then found out that where I moved to is literally 30 minutes from like 10,000 something acres of public land. So I am frequently hopping different areas of public land. Back to the beginning kind of stuff. I grew up absolutely nothing but climber hunting is all we did. We had the ability to put lock-ons and stuff up, and my dad and my grandpa always did that, but like they gave me a climber. I remember it was like one of those 30-pound like steel climbers, and that was what I cut my teeth on. And when I got here, I bought a Summit Viper SD or HD or whatever that was. It's still out there in the shop, but 2 years ago, whenever Joe Biden gave us that big lump of money, I told my wife, hey, I'm buying a saddle. Like there's no excuse now. We got 3 kids, so we got a fat check. And I was like, that's it. Like I'm buying a saddle. And that was like Adam said, I bought, I think it was a trophy line, something or other on Marketplace. And it came with a Predator platform, and saddle was like an XL. I had no idea what I was looking at. And then Adam ended up messaging me, and we went back and forth on like sticks and everything, and started listening to the podcast. And long story short, I've killed a good good number of deer so far out of the saddle, I'd say. And I'm getting every day I learn something new. Today I hunted a tree that was like maybe, I don't know, 2, 3 inches around at the top where I got up to. So I just keep trying something different a little bit every time. And I got into a sketchy situation and like 4 sticks high, and yeah, it worked out. I mean, it didn't work out because I didn't see anything, but like the overall event of it worked out.
And so when Brad like came into the group, everybody's like, yeah, like for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm the world's worst bow hunter. Like I'll kill a deer here or there. And I'm learning, I'm getting better. And Brad's like, yeah, I like to kill about 9 deer a year. And I'm like, son of a bit, you're kidding me. Like, cause I mean, do you think about deer like that, John, when you're like, half a dozen would be a bad year for me, you
No,
know?
you know me. I'm one every other year is about what I kill. I mean, but
So I'm thinking this guy's full of shit, right? And then he like comes on the pole and he's like, shot one, like I shot two tonight, and I got one of them, and then I'm gonna go back and look for it tomorrow. And I was looking for that deer, and I shot one off the ground, and then I freaking, and I'm, good Lord, man, like where do you get the time to process these deer? It's Tennessee, it's hot, you got to deal with them, like. So go into like your expectations when you go into the year, and how do you come to that conclusion?
Um, so I would like to kill at least half a dozen a year, right? Like that's so we don't buy like red meat in the store. We are strictly like venison family. We started that when we first got together. I was still in the army and we were living together, but the army wasn't paying us BAH. So like we had to learn how to cut a lot of corners, and like deer meat pushed us through those years where like we just we weren't getting the extra pay you get when you're married. So um, that really put us into where we're at now. And then we do like a lot of processing and stuff of our own, like chickens and stuff like that. But anywho, back to deer hunt. We so I go into the season based off what I see in my freezer. I have like a stand up freezer. And this year my number is 10. And the reason, because Adam knows, John would know if he got on polo, but it's whatever. I lost, I can't tell you how much meat. We had a freezer or a breaker trip in our basement. I'm a paramedic, so I work 24-hour shifts. My wife homeschools the kids, and she's in all sorts of stuff. So between the 3 kids and her, they got home. Nothing happened. By the time I got home, I was like, man, something stinks in the basement, like in the garage. We have an attached garage on the backside of the house. And I was like, man, something stinks down there. Like I got in and found out that the freezer had thawed out. I lost all of the meat that I had stored up, other than I had the last deer I killed last year was like on the complete bottom shelf in the back. And it was saved by like some other meat, sacrificial meat. I couldn't tell you what the other stuff was in the front, but like it kept it cold enough where that stuff was still solid. And I mean, I'm pretty sure I made a polo of like just dumping meat in a trash can. Like I was upset. And so I decided this year I'm just going to hunt every single opportunity I can and just whack and stack. But we need 5 or 6, and then a good probably like especially like process. You asked like how do I process? So I have a fridge in my shop. Sole purpose of that fridge is meat, and then beer and trapping lures go in the door. That's it. Like there's deer heads and random pieces of deer meat and whatever I need in the freezer part. And then the inside, I've taken all the shelves out and I put dowel rods in so I can hang meat, kind of like a butcher's freezer or walk-in freezer, just on a mini size. So I try and get them hung up, skinned, and then quartered up and put in there. And then I let them sit for 5 or 6 days. And really what it boils down to is I wait till I get 2 or 3 deer in there, and then it's worth spending the effort and the time to process. But I do everything by myself, do super basic cuts. And then recently I've been doing like, instead of like butterflying or staking out back straps or like the hind steaks or whatever, I just leave all that, the big chunks of good meat, I leave whole. And then when you thaw them out later, you can do literally whatever you want with them. You're not set to like 1 or 2 things. So that takes away, again, processing time of cutting and freezing and sealing and stuff. So yeah, I've got a system down, and I grind I stack it all in the freezer, and then I'm back to hunting again. And if I have to take days off to hunt or to process than to hunt, then I'm upset. So I try and get that stuff done when it's dark out, when it's cool out, and then especially like you said, it's hot in Tennessee. So like um, I shot those first, or I guess I shot that the buck was the first deer I shot this year, and I let him sit just so I could take pictures in the morning. And I was a little nervous about the meat. Luckily, it was a little cold, but normally I'll get one or two that first like that last week of September we have open, or the first week of October. I'll whack one or two does that week, and they will be skinned and quartered before like the kids are in bed when we get home. Like I try and go as fast as possible, and then minimize my interruptions and try and capitalize my time by doing more than one deer at a time.
So,
Well, go ahead.
let's say, so how many deer can you kill legally?
So it's like 490 something if you do the math. So we get 2 buck tags. Doesn't matter what you kill them with. The only stipulation is one a day. You can't kill 2 bucks in the same day. And then we get 3 in the area I'm in. We get 3 doe tags a day. Now you compound that with I'm a couple miles from the Kentucky border, so I could go over there pretty easily and hunt over there. And then, like I said, Fort Campbell, they also have 1 buck tag a season and 3 does a day. So in a perfect world, right, I could kill 8 deer in one day and be completely legal. I could kill 2 bucks and 6 doe in one day and like, go out in the morning and just hammer, a buck and 3 does, get back home, change clothes because I'm sure I'd be absolutely exhausted, run to Fort Campbell and do it again in the absolute like perfect hunting day. I could kill 8 deer.
One more question. So, are you still using the trophy line saddle, or did you?
No. I have a Cruiser XC now. I very quickly upgraded from the giant. There's a video on my YouTube page of me in it, and I had like a wire gated carabiner, and like I was literally like a foot off the ground. It was literally the first time I ever just like sat my ass in it, and people ate my lunch on all the saddle pay. Oh my God, you're gonna die! I'm like, dude, it's a foot from the ground. Like if I fell, I wouldn't even feel it. Like I catch myself. Like it. Anywho, I got rid of that, yeah, and I got something much more comfortable that I'm a lot more safe with.
Also, he's the size of Tim Clark, so but
Yeah.
that 1 foot fall is pretty far for him. But
Yeah, might have to call a helicopter if it happened. Like,
but so we were talking a little bit earlier, and then on the polos, right? So, like I said, Brad is hype man, busting somebody's balls or bitching. So the I feel like the main complaints about the going from a climber to a saddle is my buddy Josh. He just mentioned it to me over the weekend. He's down in Ohio, and he did kill a buck, and I asked him if it was out of saddle or from a climber. And he said climber. He said I hate picking trees, so he's like, I just go to find a tree that's straight. I climb it, looks in the right spot. Which you could, I don't have the heart to tell him you could just climb that same tree with your saddle stuff, but you don't have to. But people are like, I don't like the tree, picking trees in the dark and doing all. And I think you just mentioned it the other day how you do it like by feel or some shit, like you're Ray Charles. But hold on, but and then it goes to like, well, it's the same weight, or like there's more weight, or this, and then we get down to the bulk and the nuances of like little things you can do. So like, what has your journey been? Because it's been extremely like vocal and or bipolar, I would say.
Yeah, no, 100% bipolar. No, so like I said, I started with that. I bought some Muddy Pro sticks from some random dude in Florida on one of the classified pages. I decided I wanted to go with like a good hardy heavy stick because that's where anywho so when I started my saddle journey, if you will, I was immediately frustrated by it. Like I hated every single bit of it. It was so stupid. I don't know why I decided to do it. Why would I put the tree in front of me? I'm so comfortable in my like big cushy chair. Like anywho So I went from that trophy line we talked about. I kept the Predator because I paid like $150, like I said, on Marketplace for a trophy line like Ambush Light or whatever it was, and a Predator. So I knew like the Predator alone was worth the money I paid. I sold the Predator or the Ambush online. Uncle Joe gave me a fat sack of cash. Like I said, I bought my Cruiser. Uh, and that was more of like they had really kind of just sort of hit, I think, at that point. And, or at least you'd started to hear about them more. And I remember like the big kicker for me, I was talking with Adam about Latitude and, the getting everything from Latitude and this and that. And, I wanted to get something American made because I try and do that as much as humanly possible. But like, obviously we all live in a society, we can't do that. And then, so that's what we talked about, Latitude. And then I got on one of the like Tennessee saddle pages, and Cruiser Chad started talking and doing his thing. And I was scrolling through the classified pages one day, and I realized like there's a mantis on there every 15 seconds. There's a phantom on there every 15 seconds. There's not as many latitudes, but at the time the covert light had come out, and everyone was ditching like their ambush light, ambush pro, like trophy line saddles and stuff. And I was like, man, it's really like TX5 and Cruiser, and I don't remember, there was one other that I was like, man, I just don't see any of them used at all anywhere. And I was like, man, and then initially I was going to drive to Cookville, which is only a couple hours from here, and go meet Chad and them. And I was going to try and do like a YouTube thing of walking through the factory. And of course, again, I said I have 3 kids, so life kicked me there. I ended up switching jobs somewhere in there. So big mistake, or big whatever, didn't end up going up there. But yeah, so right now, like, I guess my setup is I'm still in my XC, which I absolutely love. I sat in a what is their 2-panel? The Archon.
Archon.
I sat in the Archon at the NWTF show. I stood on the Mini Seeker, which I like the idea of like the 45-degree angle with the Mini Seeker, or the original Seeker, but I didn't like how big it was. I stood on the Mini Seeker and I was like, yeah, I cannot wait to get my hands on one of those. But right now I'm still on my Predator until like either I hit the lottery or my wife divorces me and I can just buy whatever I want at that point. So Cruiser XC, Predator platform, and then just random ropes from whoever had stuff on sale at that point. And then like carabiners and stuff, like I said, people like get super into, I just have some like auto locking carabiners from Amazon. They're not anything special. They're all supposed to be rated and stuff. And see, look, Adam's already mad at me.
Your life's in your hands, man.
I know. Look,
Still running the what sticks you running?
Muddy Pros, yeah. I was talking. That's the other big topic I bitch about quite often is like my weight, right? So up until 3 days ago, my with 3 liters of water, so standard Camelback of water, I was running about 50 pounds of weight on the shit that I was carrying in the woods, and that like back to like what Adam said a minute ago is like I was like shit, my climber was half of that. I was 20 something pounds, and I couldn't tell you what was in it. I ran a fanny pack at that point. And I carried, like a grunt call and some binos and, a can of chew, and we went hunting. But with the saddle thing, I kind of went geardo a little bit, but I got it. I haven't weighed it yet, but I had like, so I do the self-filming stuff. I run, I have 2 GoPros. I got to get a mount for the other one because I busted it, but I have like 2 GoPros to do like a self view, and then I'm trying to get a bow view. And then I just have a handy cam, and I was running the Muddy Outfitter camera arm, which is like 8
pounds.
Yeah. So I finally convinced my wife. I worked some overtime shifts at work, and I was like, hey, look, we got our bills all pretty and caught up. I said, I'm going to spend $200 on a camera arm. And she was like, no. I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to do it. So I just bought the Genesis 3D printing camera arm. I've made officially 2 hunts with that. I absolutely love it. And then the fact that it's not as hot here, so I can carry less water. So my back does not hurt nearly as much right now. But my next the big step will be probably getting into some B sticks is where I think I'm headed, and then running like USA's or something to hold them onto the tree. But either way, I'm pretty set on the B sticks unless like some tethered ones appear at my doorstep, out of nowhere. But that's where I'm headed, just to try and lighten myself up a little bit because most of my walks in, I think I walked in a mile and a half ish tonight. But like I said, I got a lot of public land, and there's a lot of guys that have found it recently, like the COVID hunting. I don't know if you guys got into this, but like 2020 was absolutely terrible. There was a couple spots I hunted for 5 years, and I never saw another truck. And opening morning of bow season in 2020, there was a buck that I'm going to say conservatively is probably 160 in the bean field every night in this one spot of the spot that I had hunted by myself for literally years. Opening morning, I got in early because I knew other people were going to be there. It was a big deal. And if I had any chance of killing that buck, it was going to be that day. And when I walked in, I was the only truck in the parking lot. When I walked out, there were 7 trucks. So like, and it's not just guys here, which is the biggest issue. I'm seeing tonight, I saw Illinois tags and a Mississippi tag at the parking lot that I went into that I've never seen anyone at before. Then another guy came in with a Tennessee Stewart County tag, like, so somebody local. But right now, when I pull into a public land area right now, I'm seeing all these out of state tags. And I think the problem is people figured out, and I'm going to blame probably Parker McDonald and THP. They figured out Tennessee is like, we got deer and we got tags, and you can kill as many deer as you want. And unfortunately, people, I don't want to say unfortunately, because, obviously I want everyone to kill something, but like, stay out of my spots while you do it. Go find other spots. They're mine.
Well, and with his load out there where he's talking like 50 pounds or whatever, and we'll go back to like bitching hype man. Like right. This would be Brad on Polo. He's like, all right, because he's gone full Facebook saddle hunter. He didn't just be like, I want to saddle hunt. He's like, oh, I got this kayak. I'm gonna go in. I got my 50 pounds thing. He's like, I'm gonna kill this deer. It's gonna be so great. And then like 20 minutes later, he's like, I flipped my fucking kayak and I lost my camera. And
that was a bad night. But redemption, the sweet potato shirt came through 2 nights later. Well, I guess I shot that buck last year first, and then a couple nights later I shot my sweet potato shirt went on when muzzleloader season hit, and knocked him down, shot a doe.
So with this, the 6 deer expectation, it goes to kind of like what we were talking about before. And I want to have this conversation on the podcast, right? Because one of your things, Brad, was, and it is like 100% like, you're hunting public land. It's not like you've got these just because I feel like a lot of people go from private land and they think, well, public land sounds cool. Everybody talks about public land. And what I like about it, and I've talked about this before, is like, even on our property in the UP, we've got 240 acres and there's public around it. But, you get a few guys on there and you hunt it for a couple of days, like it gets pretty crowded. And then if you go to the one side and, inevitably, like where the deer are right up against the neighbors, because there's usually fence lines or there's usually some sort of, boundary there that the deer is thicker so that they can use. So then you end up hunting right more pressure than you do on some of the public where you just go and get away from people. Right. But you were saying like how with your climber, you had 3 spots. You had like a night spot, a morning spot, and you're killing, whatever you said, basket racks, no little bucks or whatever, just stacking up the does. And then you get in the saddle, and now you must have changed where you hunted, and you want to go exploring or something because you got this new freedom, and you're like, nah, I'm just not seeing deer, and I'm, and you hit a couple really good bucks that you didn't recover. I think that that's always disheartening. But like my retort to Brad was like, in that now you're getting on bigger bucks. You just get some bad luck. I mean, everybody shoots and misses, and it's one of those things where big bucks are, you get your heart rate up, gets you going, especially if that you're not used to that sort of thing. Um, Ask me how I know. That's not I've just that's what I've been told, right? But 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 it's like, would you rather? And I'll let you go ahead, John. Would you rather like have two spots where you just went out and killed a deer, but then when you went out on, or you could go to two spots and kill a 150 and just had a basement full of, like your baskets of, spikes and fork horns or whatever. They were just a shed full of 150s, 140s, whatever. But you couldn't hunt. You didn't know how to hunt anywhere else. You're just like, go to a different state, go to public land. And you're like, where's the food plot? Where's the field edge? Where's my ladder stand? What do I do? What, the wind's not right. What am I supposed to do here? Or would you rather,
Well, if I had a
go
spot that I just walked out and killed a 150 every day, I'd be like,
you'd quit hunting because it wouldn't be fun anymore, right?
It'd still be fun.
But
no,
so like
you'd get to the point where like, well, okay, now I got to find a spot where the 180s are.
yeah, but you wouldn't know how.
Well, how'd you find the 150 spot?
You
it's just there.
You just stopped shooting the little ones, and then they just came, right? I mean,
is that how that works? Because I'll stop tomorrow if that's how that.
That's what I mean. You can't kill a 150 if there's not one there, and every 40-incher you shoot is never going to be a 150.
Right.
I mean, that's what I've heard.
Well, that's Frank.
Yeah, well, that's Frank.
I'm pretty sure I said that tonight, didn't I? In a polo.
Something yeah, and you were like talking out of both sides of your mouth. I felt like.
Yeah. Well, no, you're right. Like, look, I set myself in 2019. I started hunting a private land spot, and I got some really nice deer on camera. So that was the first time. 2019 was the first time I'd ever passed an antlered deer in my life. Like, I got a whole pile of spikes outside. I'll take you outside and show you if you really need to see. Like, I'm that guy, I promise. I will lay down a spike. Last year I shot this like little basket rack thing. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna pretend that I'm the guy that shoots 150s at all. But in 19, I shot my biggest buck ever at like 143 inches. And that was private land. And I didn't hunt public that year. I just sat in the same stand and waited for that deer to finally show. I rattled him in November 1st, like, yay, I got him. But it felt different is the only way I can describe it. Like, it didn't feel like, I don't want to say I earned it, but it didn't feel like I earned it. Whereas fast forward to the buck I just shot this year was 117 inches. I shot it with my wife filming. She was in a lock on in front of me. I was hanging off the saddle in the back. We shot that buck on public land, found him. She picked a tree. Like, I'm getting it mounted because, like, that's a memory I never want to forget. Like, that's what I'm chasing. Not necessarily like, sure, do I want to shoot the 180? Yeah, of course. Everybody wants to shoot the 180. Does everyone want to shoot the 200? Sure. But, like, if I can shoot 110s and my wife and kids are there, or, I grinded all like that buck I shot last year. I flipped my kayak. I lost my camera. I like had to go wading up in like neck deep water to find my GoPro. And 2 nights later, I went back in the same spot, or I guess it was a morning, and smacked this buck. Absolutely drilled him. He died like 4 yards next to the stand. Like, that's what I'm chasing. I'm chasing that high. And then on the back end, I'm going to whack every single doe. I don't care what time of year it is. I don't care what it is. But like, Adam's asked this question because I, earlier in the year with the bitching, kept saying I was going to go back to my 3 spots. And actually, one of my 3 spots is the spot that I shot this buck in. Oh, my dogs just went absolutely nuts. So one of the three spots is the spot I shot this buck in. Just a 50 yards away, and Adam was giving me shit because I made a 50-yard move or 60-yard move to where the deer were instead of sticking in my tree like I said I was gonna. And I think that's where this whole point of this conversation comes from, is like getting. I was mobile. I've always been mobile, right, with the climber, but I wasn't. I was hunting like I had a lock on with my climber. I hunted the same 2 or 3 trees every time. And then now, other than the spot I kayak into, and that's just because deer, like I saw 60 deer last year in one sit on public land in bow range. Like it's kind of hard not to go back to that spot, you know? I shot 2 deer, almost 3 deer the other morning out of that spot. The other 2 days ago when I was in there, I had like 4 deer within 25 yards. They just little bucks, you know, nothing I wanted to take out with my second buck tag. But like that's what I think Adam's trying to get at, is like I made a transition without noticing I made a transition, and I started doing the more, elitist saddle hunter, big buck killer kind of thing.
Well, I don't think so. I think I mean, I guess, yeah, 100%. But what I would say, like, I don't think that it's like elitist, or I don't think that it's like whatever. And it's like kind of what I alluded to in the post for like the podcast, that when me and Eric talked about going to Ohio, like what I think happens, because John, I mean, I don't know. I guess you had success early the 1 year, and then that's how we found some of the other spots. And then I just feel like a lot of times, like we it always is like, oh, we needed 1 more day or 2 more days, and we thought that we could have we would have had more success, or we were just starting to get them figured out. But I think what that is that like it as you get towards the end of your hunt, like you get more aggressive, because you're like, well, I'm going home tomorrow anyways, or like, I only got 1.5 more days, so I'm just throwing it all out there. And I think, what you're doing, and like what your transition is like, it's just like being like just a little bit more aggressive, instead of just like, it's a different mindset of like, well, I'm going to this tree, and if the deer, over the course of the year, if, so there's some different vegetation or different greenery or something, and the deer are over there, you're like, well, I know they come by here because they have for the last 3 years, well, right. This year they're over there, and I just think that it's like that we're not as aggressive as we should be. And like when you talk to these higher level guys, they're all in every time. Like they're either like way back on an observation style set, or they're like, I'm going right on top of them, I'm going to kill them. And if I don't kill them, then I'm going to a different spot and I'll find a different one, And I think that from a numbers perspective is a difficult game, because you don't want to blow out your whole area. But at the same time, I think what you've been doing and what you've shown, and you kind of glossed over in your mind, was that these situations were on bigger deer than you were used to.
Yeah, 100%.
And I mean, I think that's the thing that, like, with the stand and sticks or whatever, is like, you don't go in and you say, well, I have to sit in that tree. I mean, this morning, like I went into like the thickest, nastiest stuff. Like he was like, well, just go off the field edge and right in there. And he's like, it's pretty thick. And I had a headlamp, and that was one of the conversations we had on Polo, was like, do you go over the headlamp? And I turned on the light, and it was like a wall. And I backed out to the field edge, and I was like, well, he's like, shoot into the woods. Make sure you can shoot into the woods, but you can shoot back. So I just like did a scan up in the trees, and I was like, where is it like not thick enough so that I can still shoot back here? And I was in about a 6 or 7 inch sassafras tree. Nice. Like, like that was the spot, but like I was thinking about that when I was in there. I was like, if I had a climber, like there's no way I would have been too far in where I couldn't shoot to the field, and the deer would have came right directly underneath me, so I was where I needed to be, and I didn't feel like unsafe or anything else. Like, oh, this is a great tree, like. It didn't cover up my body by any stretch of the imagination.
That's what I hunted out of tonight. Like I went in, I knew where. So I had hit a doe with my wife last year in this spot, and my parents like own the corner, like this corner lot, and it wraps like public land wraps around it. A national wildlife refuge wraps around like my parents' land. So literally across the street, and I'm on public land. And so I started exploring that more over, like you said, the last couple of years. And we ended up in this spot last year. We hunted down in there, and she missed a doe at like it's like 6 yards. We didn't practice at all, like a straight down shot with the crossbow. So, and she's never really hunted before, so she kind of did one of the aim down the sight things, and like, yeah, obviously she missed, right? And my bad for not, going through that scenario with her, but so I ended up. She ran out to what I thought was 30 yards. Really, she was at 20, and I shot, and I like straight through her back straps. Like there was no, but we did our due diligence. We looked, and in doing that, I ended up pushing into this like terrible thicket kind of shit, like you're talking about, just 100,000 saplings in this one little spot, and on the back side of it was another like kind of hidden field, and it was mostly like a little swale lot, but that back side of those shrubs was just tore up with rubs, and there was 2 or 3 scrapes in there, and like, and this was the 13th. The refuge closes on the 14th, so I knew I wasn't going to get to hunt it again that year. And actually, the next night is when I shot that buck, and we didn't recover it, and like it's still, never mind. But that's that's where I hunted tonight. I hunted on that backside where all the rubs were. They were all freshened up. I was 100% positive I was killing something, and it just didn't happen.
That would have been a 50-year-old muzzleloader hunter.
Yeah,
it's the only thing within range.
So like originally, so you have to walk across a cut bean field to get to where we're at, right? Or you like, obviously when the beans are up, you skirt around because you're not a jerk. And that was where earlier, you remember when I was scouting this year, and I came up on that like 5-point buck, and I was like sending, so like I walked within 10 yards of this buck in this bean field. So I decided I was going to go in there, and if that buck came out, I decided I was going to kill it. Like, even though I don't want to waste my tag on a little one, but like that one I had history with, it was going to die. And anywho, but so I go in, and I see this dude, and they kind of, when I finally heard him, it was real windy. When I finally heard him, they were within like 30 yards of me. And I believe the person with him was a child. And when I say child, I mean like 15, 16-year-old, or it was a woman. Like, I don't know. Based off stature, there was like a tall dude and then a smaller statured person. So I wasn't super pissed. I let him kind of go up in where the deer were, thinking that was a kid. And then 20 minutes later, old boy comes walking in behind me, like staring down at his phone at what I can assume to be Onyx, gets to the spot I'm hunting and thinks, oh my God, this is a great spot. I'm like, yeah, but it's mine. Like, time for me to whistle and get you out of here. And that was all I saw tonight was, but again, an hour after he went back up in what I assumed to be with where the other person was, one of them let loose and shot something on the muzzleloader. And if Dad hadn't texted me and said he shot a buck, I was going to go up in there and like be the bigger man and try and help him find the deer or help him drag out, because it's like I said, it's like 1.5 miles. It's a bitch. And yeah, obviously Dad texted me and said, hey, I shot a buck, I need help. So I was out of there. But that's the kind of stuff I've tried to avoid. I got in so many of those situations where, like, especially when the Orange Army comes out, Mr. Fudd comes walking through the woods, and like it drives me nuts. Like, I'm the kind of guy, if I pull up to a spot and there's a truck, I keep driving. I don't park next to the truck and go in. And that's why I've started my exploring, as Adam said. I'm trying to get in deeper and further and find spots where people aren't. Coincidentally, I'm finding spots where deer are. So it's kind of a double-edged sword that worked out in my favor.
It's funny how that works, right?
Yeah.
And I always, like, when you talk about people and then like the Orange Army and like all this stuff, like I just think of John's buddy with the white chair in the bag of corn or whatever. Clowns.
The clowns.
I had a guy set up on Fort Campbell. I was so you can hunt like bow hunt they have different areas set up like up until this year when September 26th or whatever when they opened up you could shotgun hunt certain areas September 26th. So obviously that drew the guys that traditionally weren't archery hunters to Campbell, and it was a mess all year long. This year was the first year I actually stopped hunting there because I was so sick of that. This year's the first year they actually had seasons for like archery season and went into shotgun. You can't rifle hunt up there, but either way, I was in a shotgun area, so I had my orange on, and I got in at dark 30, got everything set up, and this dude came in 60 yards from me, set up on a cooler. He was dragging like a blue and white igloo cooler, set up, and I like whistled at him, and he just gave me a old wave and sat down on his cooler with his shotgun, and I'm like, I've been here for 2 hours, bro. Like what? So yeah,
But you're on Fort Campbell, right? So maybe these are like old military guys or like intersecting fields of fire. Like you got your pie, I got mine.
Yeah.
Like we're good.
I hope that's what we were going for. But and again, like from where the deer were going to come out in that instance, right? Where the deer were going to come out, same thing as tonight. That dude had the advantage. And that morning I just left. Like I was absolutely so mad. Instead of like trying to fight some old man, I just left. And I've calmed down a little bit as my age has got higher. And tonight I was able to just let those people walk by and go do what they had to do.
That reminds me of those nice people that you met, and the nice dude you met in Ohio with a crossbow.
Oh, there's too many of those people down there. I don't even remember exactly.
Well, you said you were setting up and it was like prime time, and the dude comes just walking out, sits right on the corner of the field, and he goes, "That 6-point come out yet?" Like,
No,
No.
I haven't seen anything but you, buddy.
Ain't seen him, bro.
and he's like, "Good luck." That was the thing when John and I hunted the different part of Ohio, because like I feel like the other places that we hunted like the first couple of years we didn't see anybody, and then the next time it was like every time we saw somebody in the woods they'd like look up at you and they'd smile and they'd say good luck, and then they'd go and just like blow your hunt completely. but they were happy.
The state land we used to hunt in New York State, and I keep trying to get Eric to come down and hunt. Like I was like, dude, I'll drop you pins, I can tell you where the deer are going to be. But I was hunting in this one spot. Like I knew where the deer were. Everything was working out, and it's like a tourist attraction up there. When the leaves change, all the people flood down from the cities, and they want to come take pictures. And we hunted what they call the Grand Canyon of the Northeast. Right, it's just this big river gorge that is dug out over thousands of years, and it's gorgeous. Right, it's absolutely gorgeous. But again, attracts the people. Dude was wearing a brown sweatshirt with like white fringe hood thingy, right? Like it was brown. He was brown and white when he came in. And he's got this giant camera, and he's just bebopping through the woods, taking pictures of leaves. And all I see is brown and white, right? Like, and I'm colorblind. Like we've talked about it 1,000 times. I see brown and white. Like it's deer. Let's go. It's like time. So I'm archery hunting. I've been doing that pretty much archery only for most of my life. And I'm up. I'm ready. Like dude's behind a tree. I come to full draw, and he steps out, and he's like, I'm like, holy shit, dude, you almost just died. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm taking pictures of leaves and trees and whatever. I was like, dude, you are wearing white, and it is deer season. Like brown and white, it's deer season. You need to go and change into any other color, or you're gonna die. Like that's the type of people I run into. Just they're super happy and super sorry, but like, you ruined my hunt, man. Like,
well, that was John on the youth hunt, like what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I didn't pay attention to the dates, and I'm out scouting a spot, and all of a sudden I'm like walking through, and I'm like, I look, I thought I seen orange. So binos, there's a dude in a tree with orange on and a gun, because it's the early season youth and the
Liberty hunt,
the
yeah.
Liberty hunt here. And so they can kill anything. So bucks, does, whatever, it's brown, it's down. And I'm walking around in some khaki freaking pants and a camo t-shirt. And I'm like, holy shit. And I'm like waving like, man, don't look like a rat. I got nothing. So then I'm like out in the open, like, and then he's seen me and waved. So I'm like, all right, now I got to get the hell out of here. I'm in this, like, it's a gnarly old apple orchard grown over with there's a big old cattail marsh on the edge. And I'm like, well, I was going to go through that thick stuff over there. I'm not now.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
So I'm like cutting through, trying to stay out in the open. Then all of a sudden, boom, right from that tree, the dude shoots. I'm like, holy shit. So I'm hightailing it out of there. And then I end up getting over to this fence. And and it was windier and it was super windy that day. And it was like a southwest wind. And that's what I did is walked all the way out and around because I wanted to get the wind right so I could check all these spots. And I get over and I have to cross this barbed wire fence. And I step on the fence and all of a sudden, like 5 feet from me, this dandy buck jumps up and we both do a backflip practically. I mean, he comes up, sees me, and I like, holy shit. And he goes off running. But then all of a sudden I see those guys now, they're walking out. There was 2 of them actually. And they come walking out and I'm like, I give them the big buck sign. I'm like, that way, like, go that way. The buck went that way. So then finally I cross this creek and then get out to the road. And then, like 15 minutes later, they come walking out and I talk to them. And it ended up being the guy that was a shooter was a wounded veteran. And then I don't know if it was a relative or whatever was with him that brought him out there and stuff. And the guy that was hunting, he was all excited. He's like, yeah, right after you must have bumped a spike horn to me. And I shot, but I ain't get him, like, whew, I'm glad he didn't shoot me.
Must have been a Marine like Adam.
He wasn't eating crayons. Like he was.
I mean, we can agree he's probably in the Air Force. It's fine.
Yeah. What is NSF is what the Marines would say about that. He's a non-shooting fuck.
Yeah. I can't tell you the amount of guys that be like, oh man, I learned how to shoot while I was in service. I'm like, man, I learned how to shoot like in my backyard when I was 6. Okay, that's whatever. We got it.
I was just having that conversation with a guy. We were just talking about like, having guns in your house or like, growing up or like basic gun safety, right? And it was like, man, I grew up in an environment where like my grandma's house had a room that was about half the size of the room that I'm in right now. It was like a old walk-in closet or pantry or something, but it had a bed in it. But the entire bed and every single like place that there could be around the room was covered in rifles, like leaned up, like, and it was like, it wasn't like, don't play with those. It was like, we don't point guns at anybody except for at their feet. Like that was what was known. Like there was a gun cabinet in the freaking.
Half of Adam's family is missing toes and shit.
Yeah, just at their feet, it's fine.
But like, and that's like, when I deal with friends of mine or people handling guns and stuff like that, it's like, like in the military, like there was a real, it was like from boot camp on, like flagging somebody or like dropping your weapon or anything. There was like serious repercussions. Like you were going to have a really, really bad day. Like for as long, until they forgot about like, or somebody else did it or whatever. Right, yeah. Like that was it, And so like that gets just ingrained into you. And then it's like, well, what makes you so I'm like, how much time have you spent sleeping with a belt-fed weapon, like in your sleeping bag or like whatever? Like I'm pretty sure that I'm qualified to like tell you that like the safety doesn't always work. You have to like treat every gun like it's
Yeah, runaway guns are a thing, guys.
Yeah.
Breaking belts are not something you want to do.
Oh my God. I remember. So we were like doing weapons maintenance or whatever, like on post, like cleaning the freaking saw over here. And, we got another gun covering up the area or whatever. And we're like right next to this airport. And my buddy's like leaned in on this saw and he's pointing it at this freaking, like this satellite tower on the freaking thing. And I looked at it and I go, why is that bolt to the rear and why is it off safe? And he was like, woo, he flipped the freaking top. Because like that weapon there, like you could go like, and it would just go,
Yeah.
like it was not like, it had to have the bolt open to fire. And it was like they're pretty finicky. And it was like, we were just free. Cause I mean, we were seconds away from like an international incident, like for real, like
We had
on the news.
A dude in Germany when we were there, was not our units. We were like a satellite post to like the main post or whatever, but they were on the main post doing some kind of movement exercise, and I guess this T&E broke on a 50, and they were doing like some live fire thing, and the gun got stuck like up, pointed straight in the air, and dude just like whiskeyed this butterfly, and he ended up sending live rounds like onto main post. And this poor bastard, like it hit the PX. It destroyed this dude's Jeep. He was like at a stoplight, and like the door of his Jeep just flew off. And they said apparently, like I wasn't there, right? This is all like you heard about it. We got millions of safety briefs, so it physically happened. But like, I guess this poor bastard was like walking across this parade field, like trying to get to the PX, and rounds just started impacting. And he was in like dress blues or something, and he ended up having to like low crawl through the little parade field. There was like puddles of water. I guess when he got to where the hell he was going, he was just covered head to toe in mud in his dress blues. And they're like, "What the f did you just do?" And he's like, "No, you don't understand. Like there was rounds and like it was a whole like thing, like very much what your situation could have been. Uh, internationally, it happened. Luckily, on like an installation. And I'd hate to be that dude. Like everyone hates to be that dude, but like God, I did not want to be that guy that
Oh yeah.
accidentally.
And we were like, we weren't like young Marines. Like we were like team leaders,
Right.
like upstanding guys. Like we rode ourselves on this post because it was like easy and we were buddies, and we would have just freaking got fried, like absolutely freaking destroyed. But yeah, that like, knowing your target and like on John's favorite property, same deal. Like I was hunting on this along this gas line, it's like Thanksgiving. And like I've hunted out there like 2 times with a gun because it's so dangerous. Like rounds whizzing by and snapping, like
Right.
that. And
Yeah.
and I'm freaking sitting up there and I'm looking and like here comes these like working right down the edge, these 2 brown things. I pull up the scope and I'm like, brown. I'm like, I'm like, it's guys. I'm like, it's guys. Like, no orange whatsoever, And I'm like,
Probably wearing Carhartts.
they were. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my God.
I hate orange. I hate orange, and it's mostly because like I'm not a big fan of the longbows. Right? I don't. The gun hunting is not where I want to be. I enjoy archery hunting, and that's what I do year round. Uh, and I hate wearing orange, but at the same time, like I'm not wearing it for me. I'm wearing it for that dude out there that is just waiting for something brown to walk into the bush so he can take care of it. And it'll be the one day that I, had whatever brown t-shirt on because something happened that I'm going to get waylaid out there in the middle of some field because I was stupid and didn't wear my orange.
Yeah.
It happens. It happens even, I mean, there's been guys killed here in the dark, like right before or just busting through brush wearing orange, but people are shooting at the sound. They're just so excited.
Like, well, I mean, I got to get Frank to tell that story again, so I'm familiar with it. But he like worked with a guy who like lost an eye in some sort of accident, and then he was walking through the woods, and then somebody shot him in the other eye with a broadhead.
Jesus.
And he didn't die, but we seen him in Lowe's the one day, and he's like, that guy's got the worst luck in the world. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah. But I mean, that kind of goes back to like what we were talking about the other day. We were talking about like what's your take on light when you're walking in? White light, red light, green light?
Oh, I've got red lights, blue lights, green lights, but I don't know. I don't worry too much about the light. I mean, I don't know. Never really bothered. I mean, you think about this, like when you're sitting out there or when you're going in, or like the day we did the ZZ Tops, the guy looking at you, think about it like that. When you see someone walking through the woods, every once in a while, you just barely see a light. It's hardly lighting up any surface, you know. It's only pretty much visible to you. Maybe a deer sees, you know, a light going through the woods, but I mean, I don't know. I've never really worried about it much.
Because Brad was like, you know, only red light. I think it's like a military thing. I think it's like a little bit antiquated. I think the green light works better. I don't think it spooks deer. But one thing that didn't get mentioned is like for other hunters, like for other people to know where you're at.
Right.
And I think that just goes right along with the hunter orange type thing. Cause you know, Dan Infalt's talked about it. Frank, it had it happen to him, but like walking through the woods with no light and you hear like an arrow come back. You're like, whoa, hold on, you know, and like, no thanks, you know. I don't know. I think that's something that's probably more important than
right.
That's where your Ray Charles thing came from earlier. I said I like absolutely when I had my climber, I refused. I wouldn't even carry a light on me. Like if I had shot a deer at night, I had to go to the truck to get a light to come back to track the deer. Like I refused to have a light because I was so concerned with. And then I started saddle hunting, and I was saying to the group like, there's so many moving parts that I just want to make sure. Like climber, it was easy. You felt how many bumps you had on the summit, like slipped in those bumps to the locked it. You got your angle. You can feel all those parts, regardless of how much loom you have. You can feel all that out. And I was hunting 3 trees at the time, so like I knew exactly where I needed to be and where my angles needed to be. And since saddle hunting, I basically only use the red. I use the white as I need to, but like, it's got a lot to do with that military thing. Is like the red feels comfortable to me, and that's where I like having my night vision, and I think a lot of it comes from that. I used to walk in with no light. Now I got a light, and you know the red gives you enough where you're not tripping and bumping and stumbling over shit, but you're also not like beaconing out to other things. But like you were saying, like where other hunters are, that morning I went in by myself, no light, climbed up my tree. An hour before dark or before light, I was ready to kill everything that walked through the woods. And these dudes were coming through with their white light, and like I could see them. And I'd flicker my little white light at them to let them know that I was where I was at. So I see like both aspects of it. I'm not, you know, I'm a pretty big devil's advocate kind of guy when it comes to everything. Like I try to weigh both sides of the story before I just make a decision. But when it came to like, if I picked up my climber tomorrow and decided I was going in the climber, I would die before I walked in with a light. And I haven't climbed around it. It's just like, that's where I was at, man. There was no light, and that was it.
But see, like, I think to me, it's kind of like when guys were hunting or were scouting up for the Patreon hunt, right? And they were like, man, we went into this spot and like we got in there and it was so thick and we just kept on going because we were trying to get to this point on the map. And it's like, at some point, like you have to just abandon, like if it's that thick or if it's that whatever, like you can't get back in here to hunt it. Like unless you found like the deer mecca or like whatever. And especially, you know, like you have to like look at it from that perspective. But I think about it with like a climber, and it's like I think about like in Ohio, you know, Frank went in, I got back to the bikes, and I had my light on when I was going through, but when I got to the bikes, I turned the light off. And then 20 minutes later, I mean, I saw Frank's light for a while, and then I turned my light off, and then 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, Frank's yelling. He's like, turn on your light. Like, where are you at? And he was with his climber on his back. If you ever been down there with all the greenbrier and everything, but he was like stuck, like he's in a spider's web, so he had to take his climber off. I think he had to take his jacket off.
Yeah, because he had that wool.
Yeah,
it's like he was Velcroed in there.
So, and even that spot where I went in, 10 yards off a field edge today, like if I wouldn't have had a light, I would have been poked in the eye, hung up. And then that's where I think about like going from a climber, like with the big bands and it sticks out, 2 foot off your back. It's like, there's no way you couldn't pay me to wear that thing in anymore, ever. It's sitting in my shed. I got 2 of them and I look at it and I go, what was I thinking? How is that the most? How is that the best
I still
way?
have this thing? Is what I look at it all the time. I'm like, why do I still have this thing?
It's funny that we're on this topic of lights because I just got a new light for work, and it's the big rocket launcher. Like it looks like a bazooka, Milwaukee light. And I was showing my wife. I'm like, check out my new light for walking in. Like it's like this big.
But we actually we use those big like Milwaukee. We call them scene lights on like our rescue truck or whatever. We used one last night on a scene.
Yeah, but so like when I'm walking in, I would rather have a little bit of light. I'm not like my headlamp I'm running on as dim as possible, or the blue light or the red light, whatever. But I would rather go in as quiet as possible without stepping on all the extra sticks and stuff like that, or tripping and falling, which I still do that even with my light on once in a while, but my son can contest to that. But so like I've never really worried too much. Now if I was going to go in like close to a bedding area or something, but still if you're going in the morning, they're not in the bed, and in the evening leaving, if you had deer around you or whatever, that might, I've sat in a tree for like extra long just trying to let the deer, cruise off and get out of the way before I turn my headlamp on or whatever. And most of the time I can get down even with my saddle gear. I mean, with all my 15 bow ropes tangled up and shit, but
he's got to get that muddy camera arm and
the muddy camera arm that weighs 8 pounds, and I got a little tiny camcorder on it. Like
that's me. I promise I was living that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Like, I don't know. It's just funny that I think about things all the time. Like I said, you spend so much time in the tree stand. And I'm like, how can I make this more efficient? Like, how can I be like what do I really need? Like, how can I, what are things that would make this better? Because that's why I love talking to like product guys or like gear guys, because they're like, they always have an idea. They're like, and then there's lots of guys that have like executed it and like said, okay, we built the better thing. Like for, like I was thinking about that. You got the DIY Bowhunter camera arm now. Mm-hmm. So do I. And that's like a big, huge thing. And then you've got Austin's now. And that's, you went from this industrial giant thing to, something that's a lot more practical for what you're doing.
Shoot, I could have mounted my dad's old, 1980s VHS recorder on that sucker, But that sucker, it hold all that.
Well, that's so like I went from the muddy before the like hunt hard or whatever. It was this like telescoping heavy steel arm. And I was like, man, this thing just sucks. Like, I just hated it. It had no pivot point. You just had this like one stick inside the other came out. You had one option. Like, that was it. And I was like, man, I got to get something better. And I asked my buddy, like, hey, what arm do you run? And he has like, he does the more like theatrical type videos, right? Like, shit, I will never be able to editing. I can't do that. I'm not that guy. And he like B-roll for hours and days, and he's got like the camera that's like this big because it's got lights and microphones and shit. He's like, man, you got to get the Muddy Outfitter. And I'm like, yeah, done. And I picked it up for like $50 on eBay. Like I just scored.
Shipping was that much.
Yeah, basically. And I got it and was like, this thing is awesome. This is it. And then the other day I picked up, I like literally could not wait to throw that shit in the back seat and run with this teeny little camera arm stuffed in my fanny pack. And I got up and I like got it all. I didn't even look at it. I just got in the woods and was like trying to screw my fluid head on it and shit. Like it was terrible, but it was so much better than what I was running before. I had to do it that night. And tonight, I got it down to science now, or at least as much as I can. And hopefully having those, like my back already feels better taking the 7 pound arm or 8 pound arm down to, a pound and a half. Like it just feels, but everything feels better already.
Well, and that's what I was thinking about. Like when you were talking about like a 50-pound setup, like that's pretty, you're like, oh my God, that's a lot. But, 3 liters of water and an 8-pound camera arm, I mean,
right.
You're 12 pounds right there. You're all of that.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so plus the 20, you said, my climber's only 20 pounds. So like 20 plus 12 is 32, like,
yeah. Like, yeah, you're in the game.
Yeah. I mean,
so it was like the last stick and stands that I ran was that XOP shit. And it was the big stand with the 4 long ass XOP sticks with that camera arm and like not much extra clothes. That pack weighed 63 pounds with no water.
Right.
Like that's when I mean, our listeners have heard it a bunch of times, but I almost left that shit in the woods. It took me 2 hours to go 2/3 of a mile. And it was raining and I was like, I'm going to cut across this marsh. And it was the worst decision I have ever made. Like I thought I was going to freaking die out there, really. And I got out to the point where the water was all the way up to my ball sack. My boots were stuck in the mud. I ended up like leaning up against one of them grass clumps. I was like, I'm just going to leave it here.
Just that's it. Yeah.
No one's ever going to find it. And I don't give a shit if they do because I don't want this motherfucker no more. But yeah, I got back to, and it was raining and it got cold. It was raining and blowing so bad that like every time I'd breathe, I couldn't see a thing because my headlamp was just lighting up the rain and my breath. Like,
yeah,
I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I got back to the truck and I actually like recorded a video. I was like, Dan Infault. I was like, fuck you, Dan Infault. Like, I don't mean that, Dan, but taking off my boots, like I was about ready to just get my razor knife out and cut those because they were suctioned down my full of mud and everything else. I'm like, these things.
I got in the kayak last year in December, and it was like 65 degrees. It had been freezing, right? And for whatever reason, the ambient temperature outside was like 60 this morning. And I was like, this is going to be it. Like the deer are going to be up because it's warm. Like I got to get in the woods. And as I started paddling in, I hit down, I got down, and there was no fog. Everything was perfect until I sat my ass in that kayak. And I white light on, headlamp. So I roll in with like the headlamp on so I can kind of, get through. I couldn't see shit. I had to pull over. I'm pretty sure I made a polo. I was like, I couldn't. The only way I could get in to where I needed to get was by red light because it was so in the like where the water was down in that area. It was so freaking thick. It was like you're talking about. You just couldn't see shit. And I got scared. Like I thought I was going to fall on this damn kayak in 30-degree water. Like I was screwed if that had happened. But
one of the fun things about polo and dealing with Brad on there is I don't know, it was yesterday or a couple days ago. He's like, I realized that like you guys are the only ones that know where I'm at. he's like, I didn't tell. He's like, I told my brother I was going to one of 4 spots, so he'd have found me at some point. But
yeah, somebody had found me eventually. And as I said, like my wife and kids are in Florida, and like nobody knows where I'm at all. Like we need like an app or something that something I can be like, and I don't want to like put it out to. I just want like 2 or 3 people to know, like. This is where I'm going to be. I tried to do like the screenshot thing, but at the same time, like look at a Spartan Forge screenshot. There are only a few people in the county that are going to be able to look at that screenshot and go, oh yeah, no, that's where he is. Like, hopefully it's the guys on the boats coming to get me. But like, as I'm kayaking a mile in, there's only like 4 people that I know of, obviously, that know about that spot, that know that I'm hunting there. And by the time it reaches them, my wife's posting pictures on telephone poles or some shit. Have you seen this man? Because he's gone. Like, then they might be like, oh, you know what? I think I know where he might be. Like, the polo guys know where I'm at, but they're not going to call Adam and be like, hey, do you know where the kayak spot is? Because that's what I call it, the kayak spot. That's what it is. It's the spot I put the kayak in. Hey, Adam, do you know where the kayak spot is? Do you think you can go find my husband's bones? Because at this point, that's how deep we are.
I mean, because you're on there bitching so much, we'd be like, something's up with Brad. Like, what's up?
No, I'd be gone. Well, it's like, what was it, last spring, I guess, where I just like stopped poloing for a while, and like I got back on. Robbie's like, "Are you okay, man?" Like, when I finally what happened was I shut the notifications off. Like, I was doing something, and I shut the notifications off, and I forgot to turn the shit back on, honestly. And like 6 months later, I was like, oh fuck, am I still in that group? Like, I should check that out. And like, people had been messaging me like individual, like there was the group had, I can't imagine what John's looks like. Shit. But I imagine that's what it looked like. And then the group, there was like 8 or 10 like individual people like, hey, are you still alive? Like, I've seen you on Facebook, but like, did we do something? Like, are you good, bro? Like, yeah, look, ready? 6,413 polos.
I don't even have the app anymore.
Well, so that still looks like the same phone. John's phone is so old and so full that he has to like delete things to like be able to navigate, to be able to fly the drone, to be able to do anything.
I can't even fly the drone on this phone anymore. And yeah, every time I have to do an update or something. What's that?
There's no case on it.
I know. I took the case off because I'm like, fuck, hopefully I'll drop and break it and then have to replace it. But have I dropped and broke it? No. And it's been off for like 2 months now.
I know. That's what when he was like, I was like, no case. And he's like, oh, it's an old phone. Like, I got to get a new one.
Yeah. Look, I mean, like I'm within like 2 feet of like 2 phones, full cases. Like,
well, if you're going to drop them out of the kayak, you got to be ready for it.
No, let me tell you what, like, when it comes to securing shit, apparently I am real good. Because for the fact that, like, when I opened my eyes underwater, to look up, my options were GoPro, wallet, and like main camera. And wallet was my that's it. Like, everything else was strapped down good as shit. I just rolled the kayak over. It was all fine. But like, GoPro, main cam, and wallet were the only 3 things that came out. Phone was good. I wrote Tyler from T&K, like, binos stayed in the harness while I was fucking upside down in the water. Like, just, yeah. Like, hey, man, like, shit's working. Keep up the good work.
The one thing, the one reason why I can go get a new phone. It's just that my wife has the new phone, and I hate that. I like the home button. For some reason, I just like having the home button.
You still got the, like.
How old is this phone, right?
It's a 7. Now there's like a 14.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I don't have an iPhone because I'm not a 16-year-old girl, like a 100-year-old man, so I don't need an iPhone. But like, that's what I tell my papa all the time. He's got an iPhone now. I'm like, yeah, you're like 100, you gotta have an iPhone. But the home button, yeah. When I remember when Samsung I used to have like the Active series of Samsung. It was like waterproof, had buttons, like that thing was the shit. And I remember walking in and be like, I want the new one. They're like, there is no new one. I'm like, no. I want that. Like, where's the buttons? I'm not good enough to find. I need buttons.
Yeah, now it's this swipe thing, and I'm like, I just like, you gotta swipe it this way. I just want to be able to push the freaking button.
Right.
But eventually I'll get a new one.
Yeah, he's old.
I'm old. I just turned 48. So.
But so one of the other things too, like with Brad, from listening this long, talking to Brad, like he hunts, he uses his stuff, he can secure it. So he's good at doing like some like gear reviews and like kind of like that sort of stuff. So I was like, hey man, do you want to do some stuff for us? And he's like, yeah, we'll see. So I sent him one of the Huntworth Shelton hoodies, like the waffle hoodie. And I was like, try this, do a video on it. Let me know what you think. And it was, I was like, well, I think it's pretty good, but I always feel like I'm going to do a video on like after a season of using all the different Huntworth stuff about what I like and what I don't like.
That's the one with the built-in face mask thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And, but I was like, well, you know, we're sponsored by him. Like maybe it sounds like it's not real. So I was like, this is good. I like it, but we'll send it to that. So Brad did a video, and I'll get that up here pretty soon. But I didn't want it to put it on Facebook or like on YouTube. And they're like, who is this little freaking redneck guy? Like, did he? What's going on? But like, so I actually didn't have that this morning. Like, I've used that since last December, and we went camping, so all my stuff was here and there and everywhere. And I was sneaking out of the camper in the morning, and I got out to my tree, and I was like, I hate this. Like, I love that hoodie so much for the
it's like
built-in face mask, but it's just like perfect. Like, I like the hood, I like the face mask, and the fact that it's a half zip so you can open it up on the way in.
The only thing, like, I don't know, it happens with any face mask with me. I mean, probably with you with the beard, but like when I, like my neck whiskers always like get caught in it. But that's with you know.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say, like, I feel like anytime I wear a face mask, like my nose starts to run because it's like my breath gets in my nose and it's dripping or whatever. But that's any face mask.
Right.
But I mean, because I mean, I'm looking at Brad right now, and he's like a cross between like Juggalo and like the Joker that was Jared Leto. Like, he's got like points above his eyebrows.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't they teach you about camel paint in the army? Like,
yeah, but I like
shade areas in the.
So look, what was that dude's name? He got arrested for poaching or some shit. Chris something.
Pratt or Chris Chris Brackett.
Yeah. So he had like the first guy I remember like having to distinct every time he was in the woods, his face paint was the same, right? And I was like, shit, I'm doing these YouTube videos now. I gotta have a distinct like. So I came up with this like 3 tiger stripe thing, right? And for like years, that's just been my face paint. And the other day I was in the woods, right? That's why you got this weird shit right today. The other day I'm in the woods and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I literally pull my hat over half my face paint. Like, because I was going all the way clean up to like up here, like with my face paint. And I was like, I wear my hat low. I make sure it's out of my way when I'm in my string. Like, I set everything up that way because I know I like my. And I was like, I'm painting my forehead to cover it up with a hat. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So tonight I was like, oh, I'll do it a little short. And now I'm like you said, like I feel like a juggalo. Like I got little points.
You got some devil horns there.
Yeah.
Violent like J over here.
Whatever. Yeah. 2-liter stuck up my butt cheeks or whatever.
But that's like one of the things like that I've loved about it is like, because I would always do face paint, but I'm like, I don't need to do that because like the only thing you can see is like my eyes.
Right.
And I'm like, that's unnecessary. But that's one of the other things like I really am digging about it. But like, so you're overall, so I just said, hey, Brad, I'm going to send you this. I should have just got the child size, but I got a medium.
I kind of shared it with Tim. Look, I'm going to tell you what, Eric Ritter was like, hey, we're like the same size, right? And I was like, I assume. And he's like, cool. Because there's not many people our size that are like reviewing shit. So when you like, he's like, let's talk about gear. Let's talk about, he's like, we're going to meet up one day. We're just going to bring all our shit and we're going to try each other's shit on and like see what it all like, because, you know, everyone's like John, like 700 feet tall or whatever and walking around, and us normal people or little people, I don't know. Me and Tim Clark and Eric, we can figure some stuff out. We'll do some trading and stuff.
So what was your like? Because like I would assume you didn't really know anything about it. Like I was just like, hey, I'm gonna
Oh,
here's what I'm gonna send you, this hoodie.
yeah. Initially, I again face paint. Right. I hated the face mask. I wanted a face mask so bad. I wanted the like, the hoodie. Everyone's got the cool Sitka jackets or the Kuiu jackets. They got the. I was like, yeah, I gotta have one. Adam's like, yeah, I got this Huntworth one that's midweight. Like it'll work for what you're. Like hell yeah, let's do it. And that first night, I made the TikTok over the from the Django, where I'm like, oh, I'm just fucking with my eye holes, right? I was literally making that TikTok when the doe came out that I shot. So now I can't not wear it because immediately when you put on this hoodie, you kill deer. I'm just letting everyone know. That's part of the selling point. Um, but again, tonight it was like I want to say it was like 70 degrees, but it was like 15-mile-an-hour winds. And I brought it. I put it on my pack. It doesn't weigh anything. And that was I said in the video. Like initially, I midweight sweatshirt is what it was called, and I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be like a decently thick like. And it got here, and I was like, shit, it is a waffle top. Like it is.
Thin as
Like,
fuck.
yeah. I was like, this thing cannot be warm. And I remember that night I wore it. It was mid 60s, and I got in, and you start getting that kind of chill before dark. And I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna put this hoodie on. I put it on, and I was like, dang, this is nice. Like, this is nice. And then tonight, 15-mile-an-hour winds. I'm sitting there, it's like 70, 65 degrees. Sun's going down. I'm getting kind of chilly. I'm like, nope, got to put that hoodie on. I'm not about to get cold tonight. Like, put it on. Had to take it off because you cannot walk in with the thing on. I'm sure, like up north, if I had that back in the day in New York, like that'd have been great. But down here, it ain't gonna work. Like I got to take it off to walk in, and that's what I did the other morning when I kayaked in. I went in like a thin, almost like an Under Armour type weight long sleeve shirt, and then as soon as I got up, I was freezing because I just sweat my ass off for the next mile kayak in. Immediately popped that hoodie on, and then like you said, like put my face mask on. Now I don't have to mess with face paint. Now I'm not. I remember like back in the face paint day, last year or up until a couple months ago this year, I hated a face mask, and that's why you get the face paint. And trying to do that shit in the dark is like you either do it before you walk in or you wait until gray light because you don't want to pull your phone out and be like skylighting yourself up there. So now I got this little face mask I can wear, and if it gets too hot or I don't have some shit on my face, I'll pull that off like I did tonight. And I painted my face up, but as soon as I put that shit on, boom, face mask was on. So I got paint and a face mask. I'm double covered. Everybody knows the deer are going to see me now. But uh, immediately, like I said, I love the thing. Like you said this morning, like I can't imagine myself from this point on walking in the woods and not having that as part of like my layering system. And again, you've heard me talk a million times. I'm like the most mismatched, like camo. I don't have a full suit of anything. Um, but that will be it. Like I have my army issued waffle top, which is like exactly what that is. And that's what I wore without the hood. Uh, and yeah, like the army issued one, I don't care where that goes now at this point. And it's that tan, right? So if I'm walking in just that, I'm scared I'm gonna get shot. So now I got a camo one that like I'm not worried about getting shot. That front pocket, let's talk about that thing. It is huge. And I hate gloves. Okay. I'm the first to tell you, like, I'm not a glove guy. And to be able to like tuck in your, you get your saddle and you get your arms underneath your bridge and get in that pocket. And then I built this little pillow that I put on my carabiner. And yeah, I can take a nap. That's my biggest bitch between climber to saddle was that like I could sleep incredible before the sun came up in my climber, and I like trained myself to listen for crap. I'm sure 100 deer would walk by me and I never knew, but like now I'm in my saddle and I was like, there's no like you can't lean against your carabiner or like your ropes and your head starts getting hurt. Now I got this little pillow and I'm like, yep, I'm good. Between wrapping up in that little I can like cocoon myself in that little thing, my back band, and yeah, I could sleep in my saddle forever now. I'm great.
I
But
just seen someone who sewed up a pillow and then they sewed on a piece of elastic headband to it and they just put it on like their headlamp. Or I'd imagine you could take and put one on like the back of your headlamp. So you got your headlamp walking in, you spin it
right,
around, and you get your tree.
flipping around pillow.
Yeah.
And so I went to NWTF, like, so it's in Nashville, right? So it's just an hour away. We run up there every year. Like next year, we decided we had some buddies come up from West Tennessee, or I guess farther West Tennessee this year, and they make a weekend of it. They get a hotel room. They make it like their summer, whatever. There's pools and shit to do in the Opryland and whatever. So the kids come and you got a spot where you can hide the kids when you guys want to walk around and stuff like that. But so a couple years ago they gave my kids these bandanas, and I'm like, what are my kids gonna do with these mossy oak bandanas with the NWTF logo on them? So the other day I was like, man, I was like leaned up against my carabiner, my head hurt, and I was like, holy shit, I know where those bandanas are, and I can run a sewing machine. Like, so 15 minutes later, I got this little pillow, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I took it out. I was passed out in my saddle, waiting for the 80-degree weather to cut, so the deer start moving again.
There you go. That's a new product. You start sewing them up.
Well, and that's what, so I saw this dude, like, again, you're on, all this Saddle Hunter Nation and all that bullshit on Facebook, and this dude was selling them for like 15 or 20 bucks a piece, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta have one of those. And I was like, wait a minute, I could make that. Which again goes back to like the roots of where I believe the saddle company started, or the saddle not company community started, was like dudes were making their own stuff. And nowadays somebody posts like a DIY, platform or something, and dudes eat his lunch. And I'm like, yeah, but guys were sitting in those sit drags for how long before these commercial saddles came out? Like, I understand testing and there's like safety aspects to it and stuff like that, but like, how long was a rock harness and a sit drag the thing to be in before any of us, maybe you guys, but I didn't know what the hell a saddle was. I remember my dad wanted one back in like the late 90s, I guess. Like Arrow or somebody had come out with Arrow Hunter had come out with one. And I remember my dad being like, that would be the ultimate, but never bought one. And I remember like seeing it in a magazine or something and being like, I'll own one of those. And fast forward 20 years, here I am, like, I will never hunt on anything but that saddle now.
Well, like I say, I always just remember in the back Outdoor Life, like where you got to like the advertisements, like where there was like that, and there was a square, and I believe it was a tree sling, but it was like a silhouette, kind of like the Out on a Limb one, but it was just like a silhouette of a tree, and then a guy leaned over, like shooting out of it, and it was like, that was like a little, quarter of a page, eighth of a page advertisement, and I was like, that would be so tangly, like, because there's so many limbs. I'm like, you can only shoot behind them. Like, I mean, that was my thoughts, like, even as a kid.
Well, and even like seeing the saddle now, so like, I'm not gonna lie to nobody, I bought a saddle because I was gonna be lighter. That was it. Like, the bulk of the climber sucks. It's whatever. You guys have heard me, or I guess not John, but you've heard me bitch enough that like, I hate being the cool guy with like, Adam needs all the new stuff. Like, Adam's got to have, if this company's coming out with this thing, Adam's going to have two of them, like, immediately. Like, that's just what Adam, and I'm not that guy. Like, I will hunt. I'm hunting in like some Duluth Trading Company pants and like a random T-shirt that I got on Mossy Oak on sale, and like, I don't need the new stuff. I had the same climber for 10 years. All of a sudden I get in a saddle and I'm like, man, it'd be cool if I had some lighter sticks. It'd be cool if I had, some like, and my wife's like, how much shit are you going to buy this year? I'm like, no. I only need 3 more things. Like, that's it. That's what I was telling her. Like, I was bitching about the 50-pound pack. And she's like, all right, what's it going to take? And I was like, first you got to lose the water. She's like, well, that's dumb. And I was like, no, I get that. She's like, all right, how much is it going to cost you to get lighter sticks? And I was like, easy. They're $100 a stick. She's like, how many sticks do you need? I was like, 4. She's like, what? I was like, what? But I can lose 5 pounds tonight for $200. It's 3 pounds for 400 or 5 pounds for 200. Let's do this. Like, She's like, you're done. You don't need any more shit.
What you
So
need is a life straw.
well, look, so, flashback to my Army days. We're on this shitty little OP and like air went black. We were getting like water and stuff airlifted to us, and it went black. We were down to 1 bottle of water a day, but we still had to make patrols. So we had this life straw, and we were sucking water out of this river, and we had this pump that you could attach to it. It wasn't life straw, obviously, but like there's this little pump you could attach to it. And I remember we'd made a bunch of shit, and they were like, "Doc, you can't drink it." I was like, "What do you mean I can't drink the water? Like everyone else had like 7 bottles of water at this point. I got one." And I'm like, "What do you mean I can't drink it?" And they're like, "Well, somebody's got to be alive to like save us if we all get dysentery and die and shit. Like if this life straw thing doesn't work." And we had this old Cuban guy, and he was like, I ain't drinking that. No, I ain't drinking. I was like, good. You drink the regular 1 bottle of water. I'm gonna drink 7 bottles of, Afghan toilet water, and this life straw is gonna save us. But that's why I promise. If life straw needed somebody to call, I'm the guy. I will drink water out of a river and survived. So Afghanistan water.
But yeah, it's like I do like gear, for sure. But I think like for me here is like I want to be able to talk about it intelligently. I hate guys that are just like, well, that sounds cool. Like, yeah, it sounds good. Or they're like, well, this is the best because I have one.
I own one.
Like, obviously.
And that's so I kind of feel that way is like so I had that trophy line that didn't fit, right? But also at the same, so I've sat in 4 saddles ever, right? So when people ask me what's the best saddle, I'm like, oh, it's my cruiser. But that's the only one I really know. I've sat in a Mantis for 15 minutes. My buddy sent me as soon as the Phantom came out. He bought one. He had a Mantis. He bought a Phantom. I don't think he'd even sat in it. But I was talking to him about how I like wanted to try a saddle. I thought he was sending me the Mantis. I guess he had loaned his Mantis to his buddy, so he just sent me his Phantom. And I had that for like 4 months. And that was what really decided, like, all right, I can do this saddle hunting thing. So the trophy line, whichever one I had, covert light, the brown one, whatever the brown one was, I had that one, and then I had sat in the other 2, and then my XC. So when people are like, hey, what's the best? I always try and put in there like, hey, Cruiser XC is incredible. I sat in the Archon, so technically 5, I guess. Cruiser XC is awesome. It's got the pleats. It opens up. I like it. I can ride it up higher on my back if I need to. But, I've only sat in 4 saddles or 5 saddles ever. So I can't really weigh in hard on this that, the reasons I bought a cruiser aren't going to be the reasons you want to buy that or your Latitude. Or I mean, at one point you can attest that like I had a Latitude Classic in my cart. Like Adam can tell you, like it was done. Like I was buying it. And if Chad hadn't have popped up on some random thing and Michigan versus Tennessee, like that's really the only reason I picked the cruiser. And then I went the XC because I like the idea of the pleat and being able to move it and stuff. And that was it. If like I said, if Uncle Joe hadn't given us the COVID money, I don't know that if I'd have been, I'd probably be sitting in a Latitude Classic right now and be singing their praises versus the cruiser. So.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's kind of like the journey that everybody gets in just because like, I think, I mean, I don't know. We probably all, well, I don't know, you said that you said you started in like the big metal, like steel climbers. I mean, you went through the same progression of like being in your climber. You're like, oh, that one would be nice, or that one would be nice. And then you finally got to like what worked out for you. And for most people, it ends up being like Summit. And then it's just like super comfortable. You're comfortable using it. And then, you just get it dialed in, but you had 20 years to get to that point.
Right.
And now you're just, somewhat reinventing the wheel. So I don't know, but like I say, I just want to bring Brad on here and kind of talk some hunting, go through some scenarios, and then kind of be like, all right, well, oh yeah. And go through like, kind of who he is before he starts showing up on YouTube, doing some stuff for us. So,
Did you want to talk about the wind real quick? My wind theory?
that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the wind doesn't matter. Don't hunt the wind. Just go hunt.
What did you say? John Beaverhart can smell my farts or something if I kill a deer tonight or whatever.
Look, that whole you guys of course have seen it. This whole him and in-fault fight has got me just absolutely locked up. I can't wait to start. I'm hopefully I can get the right community on TikTok to like follow along, because I'm getting ready to start this whole series about like this Eberhart versus in-fault fight, and I hope it works all right. I don't know if it's gonna work, but I got stealth strips on my Muddy Pros. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay. I hunt. I've killed multiple deer downwind. They all were 45 to 50 pounds dressed. So Eberhart's wrong. We can handle some things if we got to handle things. You don't need to hunt the wind.
So what bow are you shooting?
That's
why I had to laugh, because he hates his RX-1. He just
I hate my
ditched it.
RX-1.
Really?
Yeah, I can't get the thing. So my biggest issue with the RX-1 is tuning.
Yeah.
The bar that holds your cables out of the way, I don't feel like is set off enough. So I'm having a lot of problem with like fletchings catching, and then
Are you shooting blazers?
I had been, and then I switched to a 4-fletch tack vane, and I lost a lot of that tack drivers. But I just, for whatever reason, I think it's got to do with I went from a 28-inch ATA Bow Madness XS to this like 32-inch, double cam. I went from a single cam bow to a double. I just kind of jumped, right? Like just off the deep end, kind of like I did with the saddle thing. But I got it for $700 with a sight, quiver, rest, everything, ready to hunt in 2020. So it was a 2-year-old bow, $1,000 something bow for $700. It was hard to walk away from. And then I have a Bow Madness 30 that my dad just gave me. It's probably been shot 50 times ever. That I like, but the draw cycle is super choppy. If I had gone from that XS to the Bow Madness 30, I probably never would have even thought about the RX-1. But I would like to, and only because I'm a PSC guy, right? I've always been a PSC guy. Guys hate PSC, and I don't care. And we all have our thing, right? Chevy, Ford, you want to fight about it. I've been looking at possibly purchasing that PSC Omen that's in the 30 axle to axle. Being a shorter guy, I like the smaller axle to axle bow, and especially in the saddle, like that transition from weak side or strong side up over to weak side. That's one of the things I just can't perfect with that RX-1. Even though I've like I said, I've schwacked a bunch of deer with it. I'm not in love with it, and I think that's the issue, is that I bought it. Everyone says like you got to shoot your bows, go into a shop and shoot 30 bows before you pick the bow you want to shoot. I got on Craigslist and I was like, yeah, that's a great deal. I got to have that bow. So I think that's where I messed up, and I'd like to shoot. I think this time around I'm going to go shoot different brands, different bows, different axle to axle, and then feel what feels best in my hand to me. And originally I was like, Adam could attest, I wounded that buck earlier in the year. I thought I absolutely smoked it, and it just didn't work out. And I was like, I got to change something up, right? I'm gonna switch to this PSE bow. And after shooting it for like an hour, I was like, man, I can't give up that buttery smooth draw cycle of that double cam RX-1 for this like choppy, like hard back wall, whatever. But that's my dilemma right now, is what probably next year or this spring I'll be purchasing a new one. And I say that, and I may still be holding on to my RX-1 this time next year, talking about how much I hate it still.
What arrows are you shooting?
That's another fun story.
He's got 3 of them.
Yeah, I was down to 3. I was shooting Element Quakes, and I recently broke or lost multiple of them. So 2 or 3 nights ago, I switched to Easton Access 5 millimeters. It was like 7 or 8 or 9 at night. I was sending polos of me sighting my bow in my shop. Like target was in the shop. I was running outside, taking shots, going back in, resetting my bow. So right now I'm shooting 5 millimeter axis. Uh, I don't know what my FOC is because I haven't calculated it with the new ones yet, but they're like right around 500, 502 grains. Um, and I did officially switch to all Zinger fletchings uh, when I switched to those. So
You got 50 grains of brass up front then?
no, so I went with the 25 grains, and I think it's kind of kicking me in the ass right now. But they're outserts. They're the aluminum 25 grain outserts. I didn't want to go. The problem I had with the other arrows, I was at like 580 grains, and I felt like there was a significant like I'd shoot and then there'd kind of be like a second before the hit. So I tried to get a little bit of feet per second back without losing as much of my kinetic energy.
So you must be shooting a pretty heavy head then.
Like 150 grains, yeah.
I want to say, because I mean, that arrow and your draw length, what are you shooting 300s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so as far as broadheads go, I started out the year with 3 VPAs, single bevels, and 3 Magnus, 4-blade buzz cuts. And I 2 days before season, banged one of my VPAs. I shot at my 40-yard pin at 60 yards like a dipshit. I didn't roll my sight down, and I sent it in a pallet, and I caught a nail on the pallet and just absolutely destroyed one of the VPAs. Second time I let one go was in that buck that carried the arrow away with him. So then I was down to 1 VPA, and I just lost a Magnus the other night. I shot a doe and absolutely crushed her. But the arrow just kept going, and I have no idea where it ended up. Like it's got to be in some leaves somewhere up there. So now I got like 3 broadheads right now. So there's no point in carrying any other arrows because I don't have any other 150 grain. But that's why I just sent a polo when I pulled into the house. I'd bought some off of one of the Facebook. Somebody was getting rid of some crap, and the stupid USPS app said they were going to be here today, and I was so jacked up about them being here. And when I pulled in, I realized it was Sunday. Like obviously they're not going to be here today. So I got I got like 8 DRTs coming, and then I bought some Afflictor K2 X's, or I guess they're KX. I don't know how the hybrid Afflictors in 150 grains. I've decided I wanted to shoot those a couple years ago, and I changed my mind last minute, and I went to but dude had some for a couple dollars less than they should have been, so I picked those up.
I actually just rebuilt my RX1 for my son, but then I shot it. I'm like, man, maybe I'll just give him one of my other bows. But I still have a PSC. I have the new Matthews, and but there's just something about the way the RX1, the grip on it. I just like the grip. I
like the way on it. Yeah, I like the way it, and again, everyone shoots that Bowmar grip tape shit came out, right? And everyone was like, oh my god, I gotta have some. Yeah, well, for years I've been wrapping my bow grips in like Wilson, what do you call it?
The baseball bat.
Yeah, one or the other. And it just feels so damn good. Like I got an AccuBow, I wrap that in like the Wilson grip tape because like it feels wrong without it. And that RX1 is like it just fits good in your hand. But just something about it I just don't like.
They can be tricky to tune. I mean, especially that was the first year that they came out with the Redworks series. And even looking at my old bow, if you look at it closely, it almost looks like the limb cups are they're not parallel to each other. They almost look like they're kind of cockeyed. But I tore the bow down and then reshimmed the cams, and I obviously tinker with a lot of shit. So But and
Right.
then I had built it when we went out west. I put 80-pound limbs on it,
Mhm.
and then we got back. I hunted 2 years, well, 2 seasons with that, and then put it down to. I was having a problem with my shoulder, so I rebuilt it with 70-pound limbs. But man, it's still like I said, it shoots really good.
So it's so smooth. The draw cycle is it's just it's smooth, man.
Yeah,
But it's
it
just
is super smooth.
I don't know. There's just and like I said, I don't know if it's just too long for my body size, and that's probably mostly what it is. And then the tuning issue is like uh, I kept having to like bottom my sights out, which was pissing me off because I was trying to get like to attack and you can't go to tack. I bought like a 3-pin slider and like all this stuff, and like I was ready to like, try and make like a hybrid tack hunting setup kind of thing. And when you're bottoming your sight out at 60 yards, um, you can't go to tack with a 60-yard pin. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't work that way.
And if you're
Um,
Frank,
Well, you're from the land of the Kentucky windage. Like that ought to do it.
like yeah, no, yeah, that's it. Like I promise. Like I said the other night, like I sighted my bow into 40 yards, or I guess 30 yards. Um, because I knew I wasn't going to have to make a shot over 30 yards in the spot I was in. And then the other morning I'm sitting there and I was like, Bucks at 42 yards. Like I didn't think about that spot being a spot like that Bucks would show up at or a deer would show up at. There he is. I was like, my hell, I put that 30-yard pin on his back. It's going to hit somewhere. It's going to kill it. Like that's just kind of where my brain was at. And, yeah, it's, I'll make it work. I'll make it work. That tonight I was sitting there and like I ranged the edge of the opposite edge, like where the woods was, and I was like, oh, that's 52 yards. I was like, I was supposed to sight my bow out to 60 today, and I didn't. Well, I'll just dial it down. It'll figure itself out. We'll make it work.
I killed one way before any of the sliders and any of that stuff at 52 yards, and it
Mm-hmm.
was out there, and that was before rangefinders, and I was like, man, that looks like it's a long way. And I was like, there we go. And I thought the deer didn't even react. I thought I missed it. The deer just kind of like looked back at me and just walked off. And I had already, I think it was that deer, but I had already missed earlier. But it wasn't like I mean, yes, I did miss, but I was in a tree stand with a safety harness, and I drew back, and I had to twist all the way around. And like when I was like, getting in there, my safety harness got in the way, and my finger was on the trigger, and the arrow just went in a
Yeah.
freaking somewhere on state land, and, and so I was like, oh well, that one's gone.
what are you? What kind of release are you shooting?
I got a True Fire hardcore
So wrist strap.
strap. Yeah, and I got I had a bunch of shoulder surgery and stuff on my left arm. So I like the idea of having that extra like when I get back, I get real shaky. I tried like a thumb release and holding my hand, like I for whatever reason I felt like I couldn't hold it as long, and it probably just because I wasn't used to it. But I've found that being like a comfort, safety kind of something I know kind of area where as I can hold the. I think I sent. I guess I couldn't send most of the video, but that the buck I hit early season, I ended up drawing on him like 4 times, and then I held the last time I drew, I held for like 45, 50 seconds before I actually released the arrow. And like I said, when I tried the 4-figure release, I don't feel like I could hold it back as long, and I blame the shoulder, but it was probably just my hand being a little bitch.
So do you use a kisser button like what's your anchor point like?
No, so I come back. I anchor on the back of my jaw with my thumb, and then I started. I used to touch my nose to the string, and then I actually got a Bomar nose button. I felt like that kind of tightened me up. But yeah, for whatever reason, I don't remember watching one of the 8 million videos I watched. But I found that the back corner of my jaw here, I would lock my thumb. This part of my thumb, I would lock up against that, and that's kind of been my back anchor point. And then uh, I used to bury it. I used to have like shoot the overdraw and all that shit like everybody did. I used to bury it in the back corner, so I had the 2 points there, and then kisser button for a while. And then finally I got rid of all that shit, started going to nose on the string, and then the nose button kind of dialed just that little bit extra in where, especially that was like why I stopped using a face mask for a long time, was like I couldn't bury my kisser button, or I couldn't bury my nose where I wanted to, where I felt it right. And I noticed with that huntwork jacket on, even when I buried my kisser button, like I could still kind of feel that little bit of that point where I wanted it. So it felt comfortable.
No, I was just asked because I mean, obviously your anchor point and where your peep sight is, everything, you know, if the lower your peep sight is, that you're going to lose your range,
Right.
you know. So when you're bearing your sight, I mean, that bow you should easily be able to get out. I mean,
Well, and that's it. So I took it to 3 different shops, and like I said, like I was I wanted to go to TAC. That was it. Like I was headed to Chattanooga. Like it was it. And I bought a whole new site. Like it was game on, and then I had to bury that site down, and no one could figure out, uh, why that was happening. Like I said, 3 different shops, 3 different people that I don't know. One guy I definitely trusted. The other 2, guys I went to, and after having 3 people look at it and say, "Man, I can't figure it out." But even like the guy I bought it from had buried that site, so I don't know if it's just that specific bow just has a problem. I don't know how that's an issue, but like it just.
have you, I mean, ever put new strings, cable, you know, any of that
Yeah,
on it?
no, yeah, that was like the first thing I tried was like to get rid of. When I bought it, it had factory. I want to say, did I shoot it with factory or did I buy strings for it? It's got strings on it now. Like I bought strings for it last spring, so and even then, like with I was able to move the sight up some, but just where it's comfortable, where it sits on me. Um, I do kind of slouch a little bit instead of like standing all the way up. But I've tried like to retrain my body over a summer of keeping my head up and keeping it like where you're supposed to be and all that stuff. And it just I end up getting in the tree stand, I shoot like shit. So I just kind of go back to what's the most comfortable, right? Like ultimately, TAC's a cool thing, and it sounds fun to shoot 100 yards with a bow. But ultimately, if from 0 to 40 yards, I can hit, where I want to hit every time, that's realistically where I'm going to be at. So
Right.
if I can't stretch it out of TAC, then I can't stretch it out of TAC.
Yeah,
I'm not.
yeah, I know. Like on there, he's like, I just need to. I wish I could just get this bow to John because I know, like, he'd be like, because it's like when he was like, when you were like getting ready to say like, what bow did he? Yeah, I was like, oh, here we go, like. But so where can people figure out? Where can they follow along with you? I think you get most of your engagement on TikTok, right?
Yeah, yeah. I have like I think I may have broke the 33,000 follower bubble on TikTok with this last video I did for AccuBow here. But most of my engagements on TikTok. I do have a YouTube. I did find out in its infancy of the whole BDS thing. So BDS is my first initial of my 3 kids, Bradley, Delaney, Sophie, right? Um, so I was gonna go with I can't remember what it was. Oh, DBS, right? So it would go with Delaney being the biggest, Bradley being the middle, Sophie being the little, but it spelled out like D bags in my brain. I was like, I cannot
That's the
be.
douchebag syndicate
Yeah,
outdoors.
like yeah, I was like, I can't be that. So I went with BDS, and I got online, and there was like another YouTube channel that had already used that. Instagram, they had all their little following, and I messaged them, was like, hey guys, kind of thinking about going this route. Is this dead? I noticed they hadn't posted anything in like a year, and for whatever reason, once I started getting traction on like TikTok and it spilled over into YouTube and Instagram, they revamped their stuff. They started posting again, and we haven't spoke since. But I hope that doesn't become an issue. But I have, social media. I got it. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, the TikTok, my Twitter. I have a Twitter, but I don't get on there. I don't even think that's BDS. I think that's just me. Um, but yeah, I'm on all the things. I try and do all the things. I suck at Instagram. I'm not. I don't understand the Instagram. I like have to show my wife the post to make sure that it makes sense because she's got like bunches of followers and stuff on there. I'm good with Facebook and TikTok and a little bit trying to tweak the YouTube into making sense, but I got a couple of videos on there, and I try and self film as much as I can. It doesn't quite work out as well as some. I ultimately like I will push the camera out of the way to make a shot on a deer, and that's what's gonna happen until somebody's paying me to shoot deer. You know.
Right. Right. Yeah, I can relate. But yeah, man, thank you for coming on here and
I appreciate you.
and chatting with us. So I think that's kind of all we got for tonight.